Well, Manchester United out of the FA Cup to Brighton. Now, listen, it's a 40 game season for Manchester United, the first in 111 years. These are going to be your takeaways from the game. We'll be looking at Darren Fletcher, what that means for him, Manchester United, and overall, listen, for me, it wasn't a good enough performance. Now, the first thing I want to start off by talking about is the players' attitude. I don't think there was enough attitude from the players in the game against Brighton. I think it was a performance where you needed them to step up. I didn't really care about the performance, I just wanted the result. And I think the players didn't step up to the plate. You look at the experienced players, you look at ultimately the quality in the final third. There wasn't that fight, that guile, that energy that you needed to get the win. And it seemed like an end to end game in that first half. And I thought United actually played all right, but there wasn't just enough clinical edge for Manchester United to go out and get the win. And I think Darren Fletcher said he talked to them in that first half. He did actually say the players are very fragile, which is quite damning from your interim manager to say that. But ultimately, I think the players are struggling at the moment, and there's no sort of, we need the leaders. I mean, our next two games are Man City at home and Arsenal away, so we do need the players to step up. I don't think the attitude was quite right today from minute one. Yes, there were moments in the game, but we just couldn't really find anything, and the cutting edge wasn't there. Now, the second thing, United defensive woes continue. I mean, the defence is, we got good individuals in there. Martinez, World Cup winner, Euro top talent. Then we've also got some absolute criminals in Dalot. Like, what is the guy doing defensively? Mason Mount, very, very poor. And the goals that we conceded are definitely preventable. It's just not tracking his man by Mount. Allows the cross to come in too early. Lamont makes a good save. And then it's slow from Dorgu and Martinez to react on the first goal. And it's not good enough defensively. Second goal, again, Dorgu. He's got acres of space around him. Euro not good enough. It goes straight over past past Ugarte into Welbeck, and he scores a wicked goal. No keeper saving that, but for Welbeck to get the ball and to be in that position, there is problems. And the defence has been the weakness for United this season, whether that's Amarim, whether that's now Fletcher. The defence has been a problem, and I think we do really miss not Martinez, sorry, Matthias de Ligt. I think he's a leader, he's a quality player. And I think we do miss Masraoui as well, the senior players. And I think Dalot, listen, he's gets in the best positions, and ultimately it just looks like a player that hasn't played football before when he gets in those positions. I think the defence is concerning, the amount of chances that we do give up, especially in open space, and the players that they have running at us. And I think Brighton definitely exploited that in this game. We conceded too many goals. Yes, we can score goals, and we found our way to get our only goal in this game, but ultimately Manchester United couldn't get the job done, and we did struggle to get the goals. But defence has been shocking, and I'll see whether De Ligt comes in. I don't really think it matters whether it's a back four or a back five. But I think when De Ligt hopefully comes in, we will see that improvement there. But again, the players that we have should be doing enough. You got Martinez, Maguire came on. Like, these are not like rookie players; these are experienced players. And listen, it's not on Maguire really, but I think the goals that we conceded are just very, very sloppy goals. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, Matheus Cunha. Cunha is someone who got a lot of criticism in the game against Brighton. Now, a player for me who didn't do good enough. There's been Cunha's performances in United have been a mixed bag. There's been good points, bad points. In this game, it was more of a bad point. I think he was a player who was trying to do too much. He should have passed the ball so many more times. He got into good positions. He just doesn't, for me, look like a left winger. I think he's someone who likes to cut inside, and I think the inside 10 position, he was someone who actually benefited from that position. Now, I think Cunha, for me, a top talent, and I think he will come good as a United player. But I don't really think we're playing to his strengths at the moment, and I think some of it is on Cunha because he is being too greedy in the final third. And I think they're a team that did kind of exploit that. And we couldn't get Cunha into the game. We couldn't get Bruno. We couldn't get the players in the attack into the final third. And I think that's something that we did massively struggle with. I think in terms of Cunha, I think, as I said, he will come good. But what we've seen from the game was not good enough from him in the final third. He just lacked that edge, that creativity. And again, I want to talk head up Shea Lacey, because Shea Lacey, for me, it kind of reminds me of like what we were doing with Ahmad right now, or we were doing with him. Just a young player, bam, get the ball out to him, someone who you know you're going to get something. And that's what Shea Lacey was doing. And pardon me for him showing a bit of emotion and a bit of passion for him to go out and kind of get that red card. He was visibly frustrated, you can see that, but he's a top player and he's got a lot of praise from Fletcher and the people at United, and he is a top talent. He looks very, very good, and to make his FA Cup debut, to have the impact that he had in the game, it'd be a tough moment for him to take, but I think the players around him will hopefully help him in in the next few games going forward, because there is a top talent there and he's someone who looks solid as a player. Now, the fifth thing I want to talk about is I forgot what I was going to say. The fifth thing I want to talk about is kind of the players. I think the players must kind of step up. Now, we have some few games coming up and they must look to kind of rectify this. The Brighton game, yes, it was a blip and it wasn't a good enough performance, but there are good enough players there to get the job done. And I think whether that's Cunha, Sesko, hopefully we have Mbermo and Ahmad back for the next game, we do need these players to sort of step up and have an impact in the game. I think what we learned against the Brighton game is what Fletcher did say. These are his own words. He said the players are fragile, and they are. They're players who look just lost of confidence. I think that confidence will come with time and ultimately when you start winning games. Now, listen, when was the last time you won a game? It has been quite a while. Leeds was a draw, Burnley was a draw, obviously Brighton was a loss, Wolves was a draw, Newcastle, like all the way to Boxing Day. It has been quite a while. Fletcher did say some of the players are worn out and with players going to AFCON, a busy schedule. But ultimately, I think that was probably right, and that's probably a valid reason why, because there wasn't that intensity, there wasn't that quality, and ultimately there wasn't that top performance that you needed from United in that final third, and we weren't progressing the ball through midfield. I thought Mainu did alright in the game. Ugarte was not great. DALOT was poor, but there wasn't enough progression. You look at how, for example, Villa played. I watched him yesterday against Tottenham. Bam, the goal that they scored. It was Tielemans into McGinn, into Marlon. I think he laid it off to Buendia and they scored. Bam. There wasn't that sort of clinical passing from United. I don't know if that's like Bruno not looking like himself. We couldn't really get Zirkzee into the game when he came on. Sesko struggled. There were chances for United in that game. Let's not get that wrong. From Bruno had one, Cunha. We had chances to score, but ultimately in the final third we couldn't get the job done. And I think that's something that Fletcher would find frustrating. Now we'll see what does happen in the next week for United with the new manager and all that stuff. But listen, Fletcher's tenure, to summarise it up, results-wise, it's been crap. For an experience for him, would probably be good. I think he'd cherish that for the rest of his life. Shame the performances and the results haven't been there. But I think we haven't really seen much development, as you're not expected to see. I mean, you probably would have had 4 or 5 training sessions in between those games. But I think a top guy, he spoke very well in the media. Yes, he couldn't get the results for United, and that's been the most difficult thing for any guy to do. But the next guy who comes in, whether that's Ollie, Carrick, whoever, they need to stabilise this ship and they need to give the players the confidence. It's a tough job. United now they're only going to be playing 40 games this season, 38 obviously in the league, first round of the Carabao Cup, which you exited, and first round of the FA Cup. That's the first since 1914-15, which when there was 39 games from a war. That's 40,000 days. Like, it's embarrassing, it's abysmal for Manchester United as a whole. The club is in rock bottom, but again, I'll talk about that separately. But they were the 5 things we learned from the game. Peace.